Very excited to be back again with Talking Points. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, joins us in this weekly spot. Charlie, today I want to talk to you about how the left has had a lot of success transforming patriotism in this country into some kind of xenophobia or racism, how the American flag has been transformed into the greatest symbol of liberty in the history of the world to now some kind of a quasi-Nazi symbol. Talk a little bit about how the left has done this.
Well, look, the growth of anti-Americanism in this country and on American campuses is absolutely stunning to me. America is the greatest country in the history of the world. Make no mistake. It is the greatest country ever to exist. And because of that, we have to unapologetically defend and advance the ideas and principles and values that have made this country great. And with it is our symbols. The American flag is a very important symbol for a lot of reasons. And the coloration means something. So, for example, the red in the American flag represents the blood that our soldiers, sacrificed overseas, that they died for our freedoms and liberties. The blue represents the togetherness, the unity of our country. The white, the innocence of those that have yet to see life at all, and that we have to look for future generations. So, there's significance of every part of our American flag more than anything else. For those people that have traveled the world, and I've had the opportunity to travel the world quite a lot, that American flag means so much to dissidents in authoritarian regimes. When people see that American flag, they smile because they know what that means. That American flag means freedom. It means liberty. It means justice. It means that hope is on the horizon. It means something good. It means I can think that tomorrow will be better than today. And for people to burn that American flag, I think actually people absolutely have the constitutional right to burn the American flag. Absolutely. But I think it's the wrong thing to do on every single level, because you are burning a symbol that people died for, that people bled for, that represents the greatest civilization ever to exist.
Yeah, and when you think about within the boundaries of this country, the attack on ICE, it is amazing. The liberals seem to smell blood in the air with these fake Photoshop pictures of Donald Trump and little babies. What you have happening now is radical elements of the left are arguing that ICE, the Immigration Enforcement Bureau, are basically a terrorist organization that are setting up terrorist camps that are terrorizing little kids and families. It's amazing how bad the rhetoric has gotten on this.
I mean, to think that our own immigration enforcement agency, so here's what the left really wants. It's not about Border Patrol. It's not about ICE. It's about the rule of law. They want the complete and total abolition of standards and principles that will enforce the rule of law. So how do they do that? They go after the quote-unquote stormtroopers that are actually enforcing the rule of law. Now, I don't want a police state, but I also believe in the enforcement of laws. The more laws, the less justice, but the lack of enforcement of those laws is anarchy. And then you have selective enforcement, which is then is a statist regime, which is very similar to the Soviet Union, where you have some laws that matter and those that don't. And how do you enforce them? Well, it's how well you know someone. And that's really, unfortunately, the Marxist digression in America. They want to create chaos because then they can create control. Remember, control is always comes before chaos. You cannot get to absolute control unless you burn the system down. You have people pitted against each other, and you have the complete and total rejection and rebellion against the status quo and the rule of law. That's why they're going after ICE. That's why they're going after Border Patrol. That's why they're going after things that matter. Because as soon as you're able to destabilize the status quo, and you have people running amok, and you have individuals that say, I don't have to listen to that law, I don't have to that law matters, this law doesn't, then at that point the state can come in a time of absolute and total anarchy and chaos and control everything, which is their absolute goal.
Right, and that history backs you up on that from all the great liberal progressive movements of the last 100 years, from Bolshevism to Nazism to fascism to communism. All of them operate the same way. They begin in anarchy. And speaking of anarchy, just last week, the leading candidate to become the president of Mexico is basically now running on a platform that if you elect me, I will immediately begin to ship Mexican citizens into America. He said, quote, "Soon, very soon, after the victory of our movement, we will defend migrants all over the American continent and the migrants of the world who by necessity must abandon their towns to find life in the United States. It is a human right that we will defend."
I mean, you think about that. He believes in no borders. He believes in the abolition of borders. He wants globalism. This is what the left is trying to achieve. They want one world government, one world language. Multiculturalism is a Trojan horse to destroy cultures under the guise of the assimilation of culture. Think about that. It's a really, that's a multi-hour conversation to have. But through trying to say we want all these cultures to be mixed together, they actually want to destroy them all and create one. That is force, that is coercion, that is destruction. And look, the American culture is unique. It's based on ideas, it's on meritocracy, on hard work, on risk-taking, on entrepreneurial capacity and ability, and so on and so forth. And the further you get away from that, and the more you digress, all of a sudden you get into this socialist European welfare state globalist model that can be very, very dangerous to Western civilization.
It's also remarkably hypocritical, too, because these leaders of places like Mexico, they see us as having no borders, not allowed to have borders, yet look at the way Mexico enforces its own immigration policies. You try to sneak into Mexico illegally, unless you're heading to the United States, where they're going to fast-track that, you don't have a lot of rights as an immigrant in Mexico.
That's correct. That's exactly right. In Mexico, they deport people immediately. I mean, if I were to go into Mexico and just try to be an illegal immigrant, they would deport me and they would detain me and they'd kick me out. Here, we give you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, free everything, welfare, and then we create a political party around you called the Democrat.
Well said, Charlie. It's always a great pleasure to speak with you. Enjoy your day. We will talk to you again next week. Look forward to it.
God bless you and God bless this beautiful country.
And that does it for the Dr. Duke Show this week. For Freedom Project, I am Dr. Duke, and we'll see you next time.